Hi, welcome to SourceFed. I'm Joe Beretta.
And I'm Steve Zaragoza.
The first man to ever walk on the moon has died. Neil Armstrong was 82 years old and recently passed while recovering from heart bypass surgery. Now let's get one thing straight here. This guy wasn't just an astronaut. He was a guy who made people believe that dreams are achievable. It doesn't get any crazier than looking up into the sky and pointing at a floating rock and saying, I'm gonna walk on that. And then getting on a rocket, walking down a ladder and saying, that's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Neil Armstrong, dream achiever.
And Neil accomplished much more in the space program. In 1966, on Armstrong's first mission, he went down in history as one of the first Americans to orbit the Earth in the Gemini 8 capsule. And just 3 years after that, he did that cool floaty space jump on the moon for the Apollo 11 mission. Then he came back to Earth, alive, which, let's be honest, was quite the accomplishment, and he went on to garner a load of more accolades.
Neil was born on August 5th, 1930 to Stephen Cohen Armstrong and Viola Louise Engel. And here's a fun little fact. At 15, he earned his flight certificate before he even got his driver's license. He traversed the woods as a Boy Scout and eventually worked his way up to Eagle Scout. After all that, he studied aerospace engineering at Purdue University for 2 years, enlisted in the Navy for 3 years, went back to finish his bachelor's at Purdue, and then picked up his master's at the University of Southern California.
This dude loved to fly, man. By age 20, he was a fully qualified naval aviator, and he piloted aircrafts during the Korean War. He even survived when his F-9F Panther was gunned down by anti-aircraft fire. Nothing could stop this guy. He then went on to be a test pilot where he logged 900 hours before eventually joining up with NASA.
Back at his home on his awards wall hangs stuff like the Presidential Medal of Freedom and the Congressional Space Medal of Honor, the Explorers Club Medal, and about a million other awards that have anything to do with aeronautics or flight or space or being awesome. Altogether, the Space Dancer was decorated by 17 different countries.
After Apollo 11, Armstrong worked for NASA on Earth. He was NASA's Deputy Associate Administrator for Aeronautics. He was also part of the National Academy of Engineering and was a member of the National Commission on Space and served as chairman of the Presidential Advisory Committee for the Peace Corps. After all that jazz, he molded the minds of the youngins as a professor of engineering at the University of Cincinnati.
More than all of that stuff, decade after decade, Armstrong's first step has inspired generations to look up and dream big. His actions prove that humans retain this astounding capability to go beyond what seems possible. And without the success of Armstrong and the rest of the crew of Apollo 11, our dreams might just be a little bit smaller.
So thank you, Neil Armstrong, for taking such a big step for mankind. I'm Steve Zaragoza.
I'm Joe Beretta. This is SourceFed.